Welcome back, Portugal Junkies.
Hello, hello. Hello.
We've missed you. A whole week has passed.
And it's gone real quick.
I feel like time moves differently in the Algarve.
It does. It really does.
I don't know if it's good or bad, though.
I have to take something back that I said on a video that you took of me.
What was that?
I don't know, maybe. It's probably not even more than a week and a bit that we've been here. And I said the one thing I love about the Algarve is the fact I don't have to worry about whether I take an umbrella. And these last 4 days...
Only 4? I feel like it's been a week.
Well, maybe 5. But these last few days, yeah, it's rained. So at least we're getting them out of the way. We're only expecting 50 odd days a year. So
we came in here talking about and raving about how amazing it is that the Algarve,
like,
Tavira in particular, only gets like 50 days of rain, and we've had at least 6 of some sort of rain in the past week. And it's the hurricanes that are
floating around,
making their way.
Tropical storms,
yeah,
cyclones, and crap like that.
But we won't complain because as we talk about that to the locals around here,
I'm looking directly in front of me, and I can see blue sky.
But I was also going to say that the locals are like, "Hey, we don't complain when it rains here."
No, I think absolutely it needs it.
There's often drought here, so
very much so, very much so. So you know,
well, it hasn't stopped us from our topic today, which is that we've been very social.
You have.
You have.
No, but you.
He says this because if you don't know, I might have talked about this on the podcast before. I don't know. I probably referenced it.
Yes, definitely.
I spent most of my life thinking that I was, believing people when they told me I was an extrovert. Only to realize, at 42 or 43, how I'm not. I'm absolutely not. Because I never really understood, I always just associated being an extrovert with just being really sociable and friendly and outgoing, and I am all of those things. But I read one day that the difference between introverts and extroverts are really how they get their energy.
Okay.
And so an introvert gets their energy from quiet time and recharging and being alone or not being around a bunch of people. And some people who are extroverts, they get their energy from people.
Feeding off of
groups of people, all of that. So, it's a long-winded way of saying I'm the introvert of us, and you're probably not going to believe that, but it's true. And I also, I used to do theater and perform and stuff, and so I think people just automatically
an association
boxed me in.
If you're willing to step out front of 100, 200, however many people, and perform and sing and act and such, how the heck can you be an introvert?
Many actors are though.
I'm now aware of that, and it's something I wasn't. So
do you think you're an extrovert?
I don't know.
Where do you get your energy?
Where's a test I can take?
Where do you think you get your recharge and energy from?
Well, both. I get it from relaxing. Okay, well, can I be an extrovert?
For someone who's very black and white in the way they look at life, you can't say I'll be both.
But yes, true. But I do sometimes find it difficult to be black and white about myself.
Yeah,
because I confuse myself as to whether I'm this or that.
Well, maybe by the end of our talk, you'll know.
Maybe. Come back to me.
We do want to talk. This is what we decided we were going to talk about today. Which I think it's a topic that this is not just about in the lens of being an immigrant, but it's making friends in general. As immigrants, as midlifers, as introverts versus extroverts, it's come up a lot since we moved here because we've been so social, and it's kind of not our MO.
I'll take that back a little bit. I'll take it back. We've been a lot more social here.
That's what I mean.
Than in Porto.
When we moved here.
Yeah, but I just want to clarify here.
Okay, here.
Tavira.
Yes, you're right. Here. Okay, to the Algarve.
Yeah.
Our recent move, we have definitely seen a change in our willingness to be social.
Yeah. Yeah, and
We're both homebodies in a lot of ways.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know specifically whether it's because it's much nicer weather to go out and walk, or it can't even be that because Porto weather was absolutely wonderful for the large part. So I don't even know if it's about that. I think if I kind of drill down a bit, to me, it's a smaller community. This, Tavira is almost like two neighbourhoods of Porto, all like one whole thing of Tavira is equal to, 2 or 3,
yeah.
So I think that the identity of Tavira is very easy to see compared to identity of Porto and the neighbourhoods and the differing, whether it's commercial, whether it's residential, whether it's industrial.
But what does that have to do with friends, though?
I think because for me, it means that if I want to go out and happen across a restaurant, any sort of interaction with somebody, a shop, I think I'm going to find it much easier here than I would in certain neighbourhoods in Porto.
It's interesting. We've tried to process a little bit of this over the last couple of days when we were thinking about doing this episode, because I think it's a really important topic, not only for people who are thinking about moving abroad, because that's probably the lens that many people who might be listening or watching are thinking about it, right? Like, I'm worried about moving abroad because how am I going to build an entire new community?
Right.
And it's a valid concern, but I think I feel like it's a bigger, broader topic than just the immigrant piece of it. Like, I mean, it just seems so different here for me. And we want to explore that a little bit in the podcast today. Yeah. So let's start with, why do you think it's harder to make friends at this stage of life in general?
Okay.
Oh, you're ready.
Well, I think so, because, my black and white has suddenly kicked in. I think that... What was the question? My black and white kicked in and I forgot what I was talking about.
I said midlife, and here we are.
Crisis.
Why do you think it's harder to make friends
at this
stage in our life?
Well, probably one is to do with memory. Number two, I think
I don't remember who they are.
No, I think it's harder just because, at 53, you've built a resistance to idiots. You've built a resistance to wonderful people that you think are great that turn out not to be.
Yeah, you've been duped. We've been duped a couple of times.
And I think ultimately you've got this defence firewall, whatever you want to call it, that you're not 18 going out to the clubs, pubs and all that sort of stuff, and anybody that you meet is going to be a friend automatically and you're going to go and hang out. I think there's a reservation about how you want to spend the time that you are out social or being social.
Or just in general, how do you want to spend your time? Listen, we moved across an ocean because we wanted to change how we were spending our lives and our time and our years, right? And we still don't know what that's going to end up being, but we knew that the existing situation was not what we wanted. So I think it definitely ties into friendships here. Yep. And I say here, meaning, our current situation and our current stage of life. Because, when I think about it for myself, I have had a lot of really great friends in my life. People I would throw myself in front of a bus for. And I've gathered them at different stages of my life. And there are a couple from each stage of my life that just have stuck, right? Because of many reasons. It's a lot of your experiences together. It's that they know you and you don't have to be anything but yourself, which is a hard place to get to with new people. Yeah. And I think that's the crux of it. But I've been very lucky. So sometimes my defense mechanisms are, do I really need more friends? Mm-hmm. Do I want to put the effort in, right, to building new friendships? And of course I sit here and I say that, and I don't mean it to come across like I don't need anybody else, right? I don't mean it to come across that way, but it is the truth, I think, at midlife.
Yeah.
Because you've been those things that you said, where it's like you've maybe been duped by some, where it's like you thought they were someone and they turned out to not be what they presented themselves to be, especially in the Trump era. I mean, there have been a lot of times where I'm shocked by people and their belief systems later on, where I'm like, I never would have pegged that for you, right?
I mean, again, everybody's got an opportunity, or everybody's got their own belief space to think what they want to think. But I also have my space that I can choose to cut you
off, not cut you.
Yeah, sorry, cut you off and cut you out of my life
right.
if I believe that's going to be toxic
right.
to me. So, I think that trying to make friends isn't about a quantity thing. I think it's about a quality thing.
Oh, me too. I've always felt that way.
For instance, moving from the UK to the States 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I moved there not knowing one single person.
Not a person.
Not one single person.
So I swiped him up.
Lucky me. But you go there in the full hope that you're going to find your network, your people. And I found one or two, but largely my friends were your friends because we aligned so well, and you and your friends obviously aligned in the same way. So it's very simple to, I say simple, it's very easy to relax into that situation.
Yeah.
Because you already know they're of a like person.
Or you get what you need
right.
from those relationships without feeling like I have to go out and find my own peeps.
Right. And again, it's like sort of tagging on to somebody else is friendships. But at the same time, all the guys and girls in the States, hello, they accepted me straight away.
Right. And they're real. And it's not...
Yes. It's not a phony, it's not a fake.
Yeah, it's not like, Mark's
go and do this.
with Mary.
Yeah. So, and again, having done that once and then coming here, we both, when we moved here, we didn't know a soul in Porto. And when we moved down here, we knew one person from a night of
and let's give her a little
drinking.
shout out. That's right. So let's talk about how social we've been.
Right.
Okay. Let's really put the frame. And my friends will be like, I've already told them a little bit about this, but and a lot of their reactions are you all right? Because I am not like this usually. I'm not. I don't want to say I'm not open because a lot of people would say that is just not true about you. But it feels like in the past it's been very hard for me post 40. I'll say post 40 to really be in a place where I'm like open to being really social and going out to meetups and meeting new people and the energy that it takes. And I think that it has to do with the fact that it feels like work for someone who is an introvert sometimes. Right. So let's talk about, let's share what we've been doing. So we got here not even a month ago, or maybe it's
beginning of the month.
28. So what, 2.5, 3 weeks? We immediately, so precursor, when we came to Tavira twice before we moved here, we met Corey, who came up. Hi, Corey. She came up to us at
the Black Anchor.
The Black Anchor Irish pub on the river where we were having beers. Where we were asking the bartender, like, what's it like to live here? What's it like in the winter? Are things like really closed? Is it just become a ghost town? And she heard us. She's originally from California. She's moved here. She's been here almost 2 years. She came over. She had pink hair and baseball things on her head. And she was adorable. And she was about my age. I don't know what you call them. I can't remember. Poof balls. Whatever. Anyway.
I don't think that was any better.
She'll laugh at me. And she came up to us and introduced herself and gave us the inside scoop on some things. And I immediately was like, oh yeah, I get her. Like she's just,
herself.
I don't know, herself. Like she's authentically who she is. And I just drive with people like that. So long story short, we kept in touch with her. And so over the past 2 or 3 months, we've kept in touch and said, hey, we're moving. And she's just like, I'm so excited. And it just felt like we already had a friend here.
Right.
And we did. And so immediately, like within the first 4 or 5 days, she came over and had dinner, and we literally sat here until 1 a.m. I think we drank 5 bottles of wine between the three of us.
It was like 6.5 hours.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
So that's one example. Then we go to a meetup, which is thankfully
I will say
Corey
this as well.
led us there though.
Yeah,
like
she pointed in.
She welcomed us to the meetup and here you're new, here are these people type of thing.
Here are those people.
Right.
But I will say the whole time. So that was within 10 days.
Yeah, it was in the first week.
Okay?
Yeah.
The whole time that we were in Porto, we never went to one meetup, despite saying, there's a meetup over in El Corte Inglés.
Why is that?
Let's go to that. For whatever reason, we never did. And there were other meetups with internationals or, whole culture groups of different people, different ages. And it just never seemed to happen. Whether it's because, as we've said in the past, whether it's because, is Porto our final place or not? Maybe we knew it wasn't. And therefore, if you invest, going back to what I said, if you invest that time and energy,
and then you leave,
okay, you've created a friendship for the time that you're there with that person. And if you go back, that'd be great because you can pick up a conversation and maybe they've moved or they haven't. Who knows? But I think that doing what we've done here has felt like it's on fast forward compared to
absolutely
the first X months in Porto.
You also made me think too that I think a lot of this for me in my processing of this has to do with I've referenced this before, but because I'm an Enneagram 4, we don't like typically bullshit conversations. No. It's okay to, when you're getting to know someone, I guess, like small talk type stuff. But in general, Enneagram 4s are always searching for a deep, meaningful conversation with someone or relationships with someone. And the other surface stuff is not as interesting. And so it just came to me because I hadn't even thought about this when we were even talking about doing this podcast. But I think that is part of it for me too. I don't have the energy for the surface level stuff, which means I have, if I'm going to have friendships, I have to invest the energy into the right people, So Corey has welcomed us and we adore her, and she helped kind of get us into I don't say get us into the meetup, be our comfort blanket in the meetup because we knew at least one person, and then she was kind of introducing us to people there. But at the meetup, we met another couple who is, it's a lady from Seattle and her husband from Ireland originally. He's lived in the States since 84 or something. But immediately had so much in common with them because of that situation. And just immediately again felt these might be our people. And sure enough, they are. Yeah. So we ended up going to have a curry the other night.
Yep.
Sat there for hours talking and laughing.
In the pelting rain.
And we weren't eating in the rain, but yes, it was raining all around us.
Yeah.
We just had a fabulous time with them. And I not only connected with her, I connected with him. And so it was one of those things where it's this could really, I really dig this potential friendship that we're building. Yeah. And what else? What else have we done? We met, tell the story about Jeannie.
There's a story about Jeannie. Well, I was going to get my haircut, first haircut, and again, comes into how do you find your people, so
go to the
for
barber
me,
shop.
Trying to find a new barber, because my barber in Porto, I've been there, the only person I've been to for, 9 months or so, and he was absolutely fantastic. And then you've got to find your new services, your new person for these sorts of things. And I found him, so he was really, really good. But we went off in the morning, parked up, sat down, had a coffee. I went off and you stayed at the coffee shop. Well, a couple of days, maybe 2-3 days prior to that?
I think it was the day before.
The day before, okay. A lady, Eugenie, had messaged or emailed us about her experiences living in Tavira and
from the podcast.
Yeah, she'd been.
She just found us.
And so, if there was a chance, could we meet up for a cup of coffee, glass of wine? Well, obviously the latter, but because when in Rome. And so I walked off to go to my appointment, and within 3 minutes,
maybe. I was sitting there finishing my coffee, and this lady approaches me, and she goes, "Meredith?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Gee." It was hilarious. Like, I literally just read her email and was getting ready to respond, and here she is. And now I know this is a small town.
Right, but that's small.
What, like 20,000 people or something, right?
Yeah.
But so the fact that, like, within a day to be, like, sitting at a coffee shop and her walk by and recognize me and then also be willing to, like, say hello and be like, "Is that you?"
Right.
So we ended up, we did end up meeting for a drink the next day or 2 days later.
2 days.
Had a fabulous time talking with her.
Yep.
So again, it's all of these potential really good friendships that could come out of honestly just putting ourselves out there more than we have.
Yeah.
And I know that's...
You're going to get out of it what you put in.
Yeah, you are.
And, what you put in is really dependent on the people that you're investing that time and that energy with. And sometimes you're not going to know that in the moment, and it is what it is at the time. But I think so I'll speak for us in our years, the old bullshit defender goes on. So years ago,
bullshit defender.
So my dad was in the army. Okay, if anybody, I can't remember if I've mentioned this ever, but Dad was in the army, and one of the things he would do is he would be teaching all the troops about various things within that. Anyway, he was giving a big presentation to a group squaddies, and he knew that there was going to be lots of like the officers there, and the officers are like, hoi hoity and this sort of stuff. So he got this piece of card, like a postcard size, cut out a little bit, and wrote on it "Bullshit Defender," and he put it on his ear. So that as he's walking around, he's got on his ear this card with a sign saying "Bullshit Defender." So essentially, it just occurred to me. That was when I was maybe 14.
So you're just calling people's bullshit. Is the point of the
like
story.
I'm defending myself against your bullshit.
So defense mechanism, is that where you're going with this?
Yeah, I think, but it's a visual defense mechanism. But
you have to be vulnerable in order to make friends.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to, both sides have to step forward.
Yes.
To know whether it's going to work or not. Is it worth a try? Is it just a fleeting high buy?
Right.
And I think that's one of the things when we were talking about this. For me, it's are you an acquaintance, a true friend, or
just somebody
just somebody that you interact with, like on a daily basis. So you're walking down the high street or here, and Praminda, who I had a really nice conversation with at the Indian restaurant. Would I call him an acquaintance or a friend? No. Was he an interaction that was great?
Somebody and you would say hi to you.
And walk past him now, like if it's today or tomorrow or whatever, he's going to be somebody that would say hello, and I would stop and say hello and have a little chat. Now, is it going to go any further than that? Don't know. Again, just no real way of knowing. Right. There wasn't a scenario at that time for it to develop. But it might in the future, who knows?
Yeah. And I think
you just have to be ready to explore those opportunities if you feel that's an opportunity you want to explore. I know that sounds weird.
No, I think that you're right. You have to be willing to be open. You have to be willing to be vulnerable. And that's a scary place to be. Especially midlife. Really? Because you and I are best friends.
Yep.
And there's a lot that, in the past, because I have a lot of other friends that fill my life up and fill my cup up, in addition to you, my husband, who is my best friend, it almost feels like, Meredith, your dance card is full. And what a lucky and fortunate place to be.
Yeah.
But then I do believe that there's a part of me that's just not, there's a part of me that's only saying that and doing that because it's a defense mechanism, because you do have to be vulnerable. Even with Corey the other night, we were having dinner here.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there talking, and I absolutely think she's just so authentically herself and unapologetic, and I love that. I love that in people. A lot of my friends are very much that way. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I needed to say to her, look, I'm an introvert. And sometimes I'm going to tell you that I'm going to go to the meetup. And then I'm going to say, no, I don't want to go to the meetup. And I want you to understand from this minute, like at the beginning of our friendship, that has nothing to do with you.
Right.
It's like, but I felt like I had to, it's almost like you got to put the cards on the table so that people start to know exactly who you are, so that it's not like a misunderstanding or offense.
But this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, and that is that you're going to find out pretty quick who your tribe will be, who your friends are going to be.
But we didn't find that out in Porto.
No, but we didn't put ourselves out anywhere near as much as we have here. Nowhere near as much. And really for me, that was bizarre, because I thought I would be like, yeah, let's go out every day and blah blah blah. And we did kind of go out most days, but I wasn't. I don't know if it was me or if it was just the situation. But I will say this, that when you watch or read through some of the Facebook forums for expat immigrant groups, and there are tons of them out there, where you've got people of different nationalities, not just American, but just different nationalities, saying, I've been in X city for 8 months and I haven't met a soul. Can anybody tell me where I can meet people? Yeah. And you can really feel for those people that, did they think that moving to a new country, to a new city, they were going to be instantly have this network of friendship? Because I've got to say, unless it's already pre-populated or built somehow, it doesn't happen or in our experience, it doesn't happen like that. Because you've got to go out and invest the time and the energy in wanting to grow that, because if you don't, why would somebody else? So at that point, you're never going to meet.
It's very much like dating. I mean, that's the truth. It's very much, as someone who didn't meet my person until I was 38, those years for 20 years or something of dating, of just being either...
They just led you one step closer to me.
They did. But the similarity of dating is that you are not going to meet people sitting on the couch.
Right.
And if really what you want is true friendships and true tribe, whether it's quality over quantity or not, if you want to build a community, you do have to be willing to put yourself out there, be vulnerable, and put some energy into these potential relationships. It's just like dating, because I remember, don't you remember when I was dating, we first started dating, I was like, can't we just fast forward?
Yes.
Not that I didn't want to savor every minute, but I also wanted to be...
know that you had a history.
Yes. Right. I kept saying, I can't wait until we have all these memories.
Right.
And then when we started having the memories, I was like, oh, we're there. It's the same thing. It's anything worth having is worth the work and the energy that you need to put into it. And I think for a time, it's been very easy for me to say, do I really need or want that? And I think that that's kind of short-sighted for me at 45.
I do think you do, but I think that those people that are going to add to your, as you put it, your dance card, they have to be quality. They don't have to be quantity. And I think...
I could care less about how many friends I have.
Again, to the case, moving to the States, didn't know a single person. Moving from the States to here, didn't know a single person. Knew Corey. But that was it. And even that was just like 2 nights of going out for a drink. So I just think that it's not an easy task
No.
at this age, at any age, but specifically at this age. It's not an easy task.
I'm also very...
So don't underestimate how lonely it can be if you're moving from one country to another with your spouse, whoever. But know that it's, unless something just happens to fall on your lap, and in terms of friendships and people that you come across that instantly gel, you're still going to have to go out and explore.
And put yourself
I
also think from an immigrant perspective, you automatically have something in common here. If you're meeting up with other immigrants,
Yeah, that's a good point.
You've literally done something that few people do.
Right.
And you might have different reasons for it, but you have had that common experience as well. So that kind of automatically makes you go, oh, okay, so we have something in common here. I think that what it really comes down to is at this point in my life, I'm very protective of my time. I'm very protective of and it goes back to what I said about not wanting any surface level crap. That to me, that's just a waste of time. But I want to spend time and do things that I enjoy with people that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not that, then I'm fine.
Yeah. I have enough.
And that is kind of a defense mechanism, but it's also being strategic about what I want life to look like and having relationships that add to my life, not become a pain in the ass of my life type of thing.
Yeah. But I do think it's something that, when we were thinking of moving, how much thought did we really give? Are we going to find friends? Do we need more friends?
Did you think about that?
I don't know that
I don't really know that I did.
I don't know that I did. I don't know that it ever really occurred to me to think that because of what I'd done before, moving with zero friends. So how is this going to be any different, especially when I'm moving with my best friend?
Yeah.
So my cup is always going to be full because we have each other.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's always room for a couple of different cups or, for different friendships. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I thought about it as much. And to that, even if I had, it certainly wouldn't have stopped me.
Yeah, it wasn't a worry. I guess I was hopeful. It's just like when you're doing anything new where you're the sky's the limit. You never know what's going to happen. That type of lens to it. But I was never really worried. But it's interesting, it didn't deter, it wasn't a deterrent. I wasn't worried about it. But I can see how some people would be, especially if you're making the move to another country or to any place alone, right? And I don't know. It's just interesting. I don't think I was in an anxious state about it, but it's interesting to reflect on it now and go, this is a very different experience in Tavira for us than it was in Porto. And I do believe that it comes down to maybe we just knew that we were enjoying Porto for the time that we were there. And so it felt a little defeatist to really invest and really become attached to people that we were eventually gonna leave.
And, to that point, being here for this short period of time that we've been here, and you've asked me a couple of times, or we've spoken about, do we think this is our place? I definitely think this is 100% more my place than Porto would ever have been.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be the one, as they say, but I'm definitely more willing to invest time and energy into having conversations with people and seeing where those conversations go into acquaintances and then into friendships or directly into a friendship or whatever it is. Definitely more willing to do that here. And I don't know if it's just because it's got sunnier skies, warmer weather, fantastic beach. I honestly don't know. But I do think that all of those factors make part of the decision. Yeah. Because if you enjoy where you live, it's going to help secure that's probably where you are going to stay. And if that's where you're going to stay,
You're
it's
starting
nice
to
to have a
build
network of people and friendships and acquaintances that you can help and can help you.
Right.
You know, so there is that for sure. We are always a social animal in that sense.
Yeah. 100%.
Not just you and I, but humans.
Human beings.
Human beings.
Homo sapiens.
Yeah, thank you. Just for the tech. But I'm certainly enjoying exploring the friendship element here far more than I was.
We've had an amazing month.
It's been fantastic, and it's not even been a month.
I know, and I'm very so I give it to my new friends, our new friends.
Yes.
Thank you for welcoming us like you have, and I'm just excited that we have connections forming, you know, and I think it's important that we just keep pushing and being willing to put ourselves out there on those things, just like anything else. It's worth the effort when you find the right connections with people.
Definitely. So
cheers with the coffee mugs.
Cheers with. Thank you, IKEA.
Thanks, you guys. We will see you next time.
Yep.
If you are enjoying the podcast, please go on to your favorite platform and give us a review. We would love any review and any comment and sharing and liking, and we are wanting to reach even more people. Just like Jeannie, who found us
absolutely
crazily out of the blue, and we're just so thankful. So anyway, pass it along, and we really appreciate your support, and we'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Take care.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Listen up, future expats. For more content about our move, the visa process, Portuguese culture and destinations, and tons of support resources for your own decisions and potential move abroad, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Portugal Junkies.
Stay in touch and help us reach more people by subscribing here and following us there.
Cheers, y'all!
Let's go.